Imagine living in a world where every warning is ignored, a world where violence fills the streets, a world where corruption spreads from city to city, a world where people believe tomorrow will be exactly the same as today. Now imagine being the only person who sees what is coming, the only person who still believes, the only person willing to obey. Thousands of years ago, that person was Noah. His story is one of the most famous stories ever told. A giant ark, a worldwide flood, animals entering two by two, a rainbow stretching across the sky. But beneath these familiar images lies a much deeper story. A story about faith in the face of ridicule. A story about obedience when nobody understands. A story about trusting God when the future seems impossible. To understand Noah's journey, we must first travel back to a world unlike anything we know today. A world filled with beauty. A world filled with opportunity. A world that seemed unstoppable. Yet hidden beneath its success was a growing darkness. And that darkness would eventually change the course of human history forever. Long before the flood, the earth was flourishing. Great rivers crossed vast landscapes. Dense forests covered the mountains. Fertile valleys produced abundant harvests. Across the world, people built cities, established trade routes, and created thriving communities. Human civilization continued to grow. Families raised children. Farmers worked the land. Merchants traveled between distant settlements. Builders constructed impressive structures that seemed destined to endure for generations. To many, it appeared to be a golden age. The future looked bright. The world seemed secure. But appearances can be deceiving. As prosperity increased, so did pride. People became more concerned with their own ambitions than with the will of God. The pursuit of wealth became more important than compassion. Power became more important than justice. The strong exploited the weak. The innocent suffered while the wicked prospered. Violence became common. Corruption spread through cities and villages alike. What began as isolated acts of evil slowly became the culture of an entire generation. People no longer sought wisdom from their Creator. They trusted only themselves. Their desires became their guide. Their ambitions became their purpose. And with each passing year, the darkness grew deeper. The earth was still beautiful. The cities were still impressive. The harvests were still plentiful. But beneath the surface, the foundations of society were beginning to crumble. Humanity was drifting further and further away from God, and few seemed to notice. Fewer still cared. Yet there was one man who refused to follow the path of the crowd. One man who chose faith when others chose rebellion. One man whose life would soon change the course of history. His name was Noah. While the world around him continued to change, Noah remained faithful. He was not a king. He was not a warrior. He was not the ruler of a great city. Yet his life was different from those around him. Noah chose integrity when dishonesty became common. He chose compassion when others embraced cruelty. He chose obedience when others ignored God. Day after day, he walked a different path. Year after year, he remained faithful. As corruption spread throughout the earth, Noah refused to become part of it. And God noticed. Nothing escapes the eyes of the Creator. God saw the violence that filled the land. He saw the suffering of the innocent. He saw the pride, greed, and corruption that had consumed humanity. The earth had become filled with wickedness. The generation that once had so much promise had chosen a different path, a path leading toward destruction. Then came a moment that would change Noah's life forever. God spoke to him. Imagine the weight of that moment. Imagine hearing the voice of the Creator while the rest of the world continued living as if nothing was wrong. God revealed what was coming. Judgment. A flood unlike anything the world had ever seen. The rivers would overflow. The skies would open. The earth would be covered with water. Everything would change. For most people, such a message would have seemed impossible to believe. But Noah listened, and he believed. Not because he understood everything, not because he could see how it would happen, but because he trusted the one who was speaking. Then God revealed something even more astonishing, a way of salvation, a way to survive the coming judgment, a way to preserve life when the flood arrived. That way would be an ark, a vessel so large that it would challenge everything Noah thought possible, and building it would require a level of faith few people could imagine. The instructions God gave Noah were unlike anything he had ever heard before. He was to build a massive ark, not a small fishing boat, not a simple raft, but a vessel large enough to preserve his family and countless animals through the coming flood. The project would be enormous. Years of labor, years of sacrifice, years of unwavering faith. And there was one problem. Noah had never seen a flood like the one God described. The people around him had never seen one either. Everything about God's warning seemed impossible. Yet Noah did not argue. He did not demand proof. He did not ask for guarantees. He obeyed. The work began. Trees were selected and cut. Massive logs were transported across the land. Timber was shaped and prepared. Day after day, Noah and his family worked beneath the sun. The task seemed endless. The ark grew slowly, beam by beam, board by board, piece by piece. As months turned into years, the enormous structure began to dominate the landscape. People noticed. Travelers stopped to stare. Workers from nearby settlements came to see the giant construction project. Questions followed. Why was Noah building such a massive vessel? Why here? Why now? The answers only brought more confusion. When Noah spoke about God's warning, many laughed. Some mocked him openly. Others dismissed him as foolish. After all, life continued as normal. The markets remained busy. The harvests remained plentiful. The cities continued to grow. Nothing seemed to support Noah's warning. Yet Noah continued. Every hammer strike became an act of faith. Every beam raised into place became an act of obedience. Every day spent building the ark was another declaration that he trusted God more than the opinions of the crowd. The years passed. Children grew into adults. Seasons came and went. Still Noah worked. Still he believed. And slowly, the ark rose higher and higher above the earth. A silent testimony to faith in a world that refused to listen. As the years passed, the ark became impossible to ignore. What had once looked like a strange project was now a colossal structure towering above the landscape. People traveled long distances just to see it. Some came out of curiosity. Others came for entertainment. Many came to mock. They laughed at Noah. They laughed at his family. They laughed at the idea of a coming flood. To them, the ark was nothing more than a monument to foolishness. Every day, Noah heard their criticism. Every day, he faced their doubts. Some questioned his judgment. Others questioned his faith. Many believed he had wasted the best years of his life chasing an impossible dream. But Noah never stopped. He continued working through the heat of summer. He continued working through cold winters. He continued working through every season. The ark demanded constant effort. Massive beams had to be lifted into place. Walls had to be strengthened. Storage areas had to be prepared. Living quarters had to be completed. Every detail mattered. Every task served a purpose. As the project grew, so did the contrast between Noah and the world around him. The people trusted what they could see. Noah trusted what God had said. The people trusted the stability of their cities. Noah trusted the promise of God. The people believed tomorrow would be exactly like today. Noah believed change was coming, and that difference changed everything. Year after year, the ark continued to rise. Its size became undeniable. Its presence became impossible to ignore. Yet the hearts of the people remained unchanged. They saw the ark, but they ignored the warning. They heard Noah, but they rejected the message. Life continued as normal. Markets remained busy. Celebrations continued. Families planned for the future. No one imagined that the world they knew was approaching its final days. But Noah knew. And so he kept building. Not because it was easy, not because it was popular, but because faith often means moving forward when nobody else understands. And soon, the years of preparation would come to an end. At last, the day arrived. After years of labor, sacrifice, and unwavering faith, the ark stood complete. Its massive wooden walls stretched across the landscape. Its towering structure cast long shadows across the earth. Nothing like it had ever existed before. Every beam, every plank, every compartment, every detail had been completed exactly as God commanded. The work was finished, but the greatest sign was yet to come. Then something extraordinary began to happen. Animals started appearing from every direction. At first, only a few. Then more, and more. Creatures emerged from forests. They crossed rivers. They descended from distant hills. They traveled across open plains. Some were large, some were small. Some moved in herds. Others traveled in pairs. Birds filled the sky. Their wings darkened the horizon. The sound of countless creatures echoed across the land. People watched in amazement. They had never seen anything like it. No human could have organized such a gathering. No king could have commanded such obedience. Yet the animals continued to arrive. Lions walked beside deer. Powerful beasts moved peacefully among smaller creatures. The natural order itself seemed to be responding to a higher command. One by one, pair by pair, they entered the ark. The great vessel that had once been mocked now stood as undeniable evidence that something extraordinary was happening. Yet many still refused to believe. They saw the animals, they saw the ark, but they ignored the warning. Their hearts remained unchanged. Meanwhile, Noah and his family prepared for the journey ahead. Food was stored, supplies were organized, the animals were guided into their places. Every preparation was made. Every instruction was followed. The time for building had ended. The time for waiting had ended. Now only one thing remained: the flood itself. Soon, Noah's family stepped aboard the ark. The animals were inside. The provisions were ready. Everything was prepared. Then came a moment unlike any other. The great door of the ark began to close. Slowly, heavily, final. The world outside continued as normal. People talked, worked, traded, laughed, completely unaware that history was about to change forever. The door closed, and with it, the final opportunity had passed. The time of preparation was over. The time of judgment had arrived. At first, nothing happened. The ark stood silently upon the earth. The door remained shut. Noah and his family waited inside. Outside, life continued as it always had. People walked through the streets. Merchants opened their shops. Farmers tended their fields. Children played beneath the open sky. Everything seemed normal. Then the rain began. A few drops at first, scattered across the ground. Barely noticeable. Many paid no attention. Rain was not unusual. There was no reason to be concerned. But the rain did not stop. Hour after hour, it continued. The clouds grew darker. The sky became heavy. Thunder echoed across the horizon. Lightning illuminated the heavens. Soon the rain intensified. Small streams became rushing currents. Roads turned into rivers. Fields disappeared beneath rising waters. People began to realize that something was wrong. What started as curiosity became concern. What began as concern slowly turned into fear. The rain continued, day and night, without pause, without mercy. The earth itself seemed to break open. Water surged from below. Water poured from above. The flood was no ordinary storm. It was unlike anything humanity had ever witnessed. Rivers overflowed their banks. Villages vanished beneath the water. Entire cities disappeared. Buildings that once seemed permanent were swept away. The proud achievements of mankind began to crumble. Panic spread across the land. People searched for higher ground. Families fled toward the hills. But the waters rose faster than anyone could escape. The flood showed no signs of slowing. For 40 days and 40 nights, the rain continued. The horizon disappeared. The landscape disappeared. The familiar world disappeared. Water covered everything. The valleys vanished first, then the hills, then the mountains. The earth became an endless ocean stretching in every direction. Only one vessel remained above the waters, the ark. The same ark that had been mocked, the same ark that had been ridiculed, the same ark that stood as a testimony to faith. Now it floated safely above the flood, carried by the waters, protected by the promise of God. Inside, Noah and his family could hear the storm raging beyond the walls. Thunder shook the sky. Waves crashed against the vessel. The floodwaters stretched beyond the horizon, yet the ark held firm. Not because of human strength, not because of human wisdom, but because it had been built according to God's instruction. Outside, the old world was passing away. Inside, the future of life on earth was being preserved. The flood had come, and nothing would ever be the same again. As the floodwaters covered the earth, life inside the ark continued. The storm still raged outside. The winds howled across the endless waters. Massive waves lifted the ark and carried it across the flooded world. Yet within the vessel, Noah and his family faced a different challenge. They had survived the beginning of the flood. Now they had to endure the waiting. Every day began with responsibility. Animals needed food. Water had to be managed. Living spaces had to be cleaned. Thousands of creatures depended upon the care and dedication of Noah's family. The work never stopped. Morning became evening. Evening became morning. The same routine repeated again and again. Outside, there was nothing but water. No cities, no roads, no familiar landmarks. The world they had known was gone. Only the ark remained. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. The floodwaters stretched endlessly in every direction. Sometimes the future must have felt uncertain. How long would this journey last? When would they see land again? When would life return to normal? Noah did not have all the answers, but he had something greater. He had faith. The same faith that led him to build the ark. The same faith that sustained him through years of ridicule. The same faith that now carried him through the silence of waiting. Faith is often strongest when there is nothing left to do but trust. Noah could not control the storm. He could not lower the waters. He could not speed up God's timing. All he could do was remain faithful, and so he did. Day after day, month after month, the ark drifted safely across the waters, protected by the hand of God. Beyond the walls of the vessel, the old world had passed away. But inside the ark, hope remained alive. Every animal, every family member, every heartbeat aboard the vessel represented a future that had not yet been revealed. The flood was not the end of the story. It was only the beginning of a new one, and somewhere beyond the endless waters, a new world was waiting. At last, the storm came to an end. The thunder faded. The rain stopped. The violent winds grew quiet. For the first time in many months, silence returned. The floodwaters still covered the earth, but something had changed. God had not forgotten Noah. God had not forgotten the animals. God had not forgotten his promise. A great wind moved across the waters. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the flood began to recede. Day after day, the water level fell. Week after week, more of the earth emerged. Then, one day, something remarkable happened. The ark came to rest. After months of drifting, the vessel was no longer moving. Somewhere beneath it, solid ground had appeared. Hope began to grow. Yet Noah remained patient. The world outside was still recovering. The time to leave had not yet come. Eventually, Noah opened a window in the ark. Fresh air filled the vessel. For the first time in months, he could look out across the world beyond the ark's walls. To learn whether the earth was ready, Noah released a raven. The bird flew into the distance. Back and forth it traveled across the waters. But Noah waited for clearer evidence. Later, he released a dove. The small bird disappeared into the vast landscape. Hours passed. Then the dove returned. There was still nowhere for it to rest. The floodwaters remained too high. Noah gently received the bird back into the ark. Then he waited. 7 days passed. The waiting continued. Again, Noah released the dove. Again, it flew into the distance. This time, something was different. When the dove returned, it carried a fresh olive leaf in its beak, a simple leaf, yet it carried extraordinary meaning. Life had returned. Trees were growing again. The earth was recovering. Hope was no longer a distant dream. It was becoming reality. Noah knew that the end of the journey was near. Still, he waited. 7 more days passed. Then he released the dove once again. The bird disappeared into the horizon. This time, it did not return. The message was clear. The earth was ready. Dry land had appeared. A new chapter was about to begin. The flood had transformed the world. And soon, Noah and his family would step into that new world for the very first time. The day had finally arrived. After months aboard the ark, Noah received the instruction he had been waiting for. It was time to leave. Slowly, the great door of the ark opened. Sunlight poured into the vessel. Fresh air filled every corner. Before them stood a world unlike the one they had left behind. The flood was over. The waters had receded. The earth was alive once again. Noah stepped onto dry ground. His family followed. Then the animals began to emerge. Birds took flight into the open sky. Herds moved across the valleys. Creatures great and small spread out across the renewed earth. Life was beginning again. For a moment, Noah stood quietly and looked around him. Everything had changed. The world he once knew was gone. The cities, the roads, the places he had walked throughout his life, all had disappeared. Yet standing before him was something even greater, a new beginning. Noah understood that he and his family had been preserved for a purpose. The future of humanity would begin with them. The future of countless generations would begin with them. And before doing anything else, Noah chose to give thanks. He built an altar to the Lord. There, upon the renewed earth, Noah worshipped God. He remembered the years of preparation, the years of ridicule, the endless days of construction, the terrible storm, the long months upon the waters. Through every trial, God had remained faithful. Now Noah responded with gratitude. Then God spoke once more. A promise was given, a covenant that would endure through every generation to come. Never again would a flood destroy all life upon the earth. Never again would humanity witness a judgment like the one that had just passed. And as a sign of that promise, God placed a rainbow in the sky. A brilliant arc of color stretched across the heavens. It was more than a beautiful sight. It was a reminder of mercy, a reminder of grace, a reminder that God keeps his promises. Whenever future generations looked upon the rainbow, they would remember. They would remember the flood. They would remember the ark. They would remember Noah. Most importantly, they would remember the faithfulness of God. The story of Noah is often remembered for its animals, its ark, its flood, its rainbow. But at its heart, this is a story about faith. Faith when the future seems impossible. Faith when the world stands against you. Faith when the path ahead makes no sense. Noah did not know how everything would unfold. He simply trusted God one step at a time. And because he trusted, life was preserved. Because he obeyed, a new beginning became possible. Because he remained faithful, his story continues to inspire people thousands of years later. The rainbow still appears after the storm. And every time it does, it reminds us of an ancient promise. A promise that has endured across generations. A promise that remains unbroken. and a reminder that even after the darkest storm, hope can still appear on the horizon. The story of Noah had come to an end, but its message would live on forever.